Hello and happy. Have the light on? Have the light on. Happy Friday. For some reason, my keyboard shortcuts have decided to not work, but hopefully that's okay. OBS is a fickle beast, apparently. So I have to click things. All right. We are going to be back developing Steam Workshop support for Sentinels of the Multiverse. This is actually probably going to be the last dev stream before we bring this feature to the public. Because if you look at the Trello board, there's not a whole lot left. So that is something we're going to be working on. What I'm looking at right now is some issues with the placeholder art not showing up right. Fixed the issue I saw on Tuesday with small card art, and there's been a report of an issue with the character artwork when flipping the villain, and I reproduced it in a test game here with good old Baron Jeremy. As you can see, he's gonna flip and disappear. So it's obviously not loading that graphic, and I think that's actually a case that I missed. When we flip the art like that, we do like a preloading system, and that was not handling placeholders. And I tried to throw in some code here, but that's not actually going to work, because we need to remember the texture. And so what I'm going to do is and the placeholder info and stuff. So I'm going to separate out these things. So I'm going to, I think, make a new method. Right now it just goes over a list, but I want to make a method instead, I think. So let's make a new coroutine. Preload cutout. And right. So we're going to populate this. We want a deck kind. Kind is effects. Yeah, I guess there can be multiple texture paths for effects. I guess we do string effect name. And just basically whatever we need to do this. So the path is get texture path. Just basically right now converting this method and breaking it into calling a separate method so that it'll be easier to deal with the placeholder stuff. And effect name. And then, yeah, I added this. So what we have to do is call another coroutine that loads the texture. And then here we can check if it's a placeholder, right? And then we get the result. And right now this is going to do the same thing, basically. So what we want to do is yield return start coroutine, preload cutout, hero, false. That replaces this line. And same thing for villain. replaces that line, and then the effects, basically we go for each. We do this, true, text.name, and the same thing for the villains. So that, yeah. That replaces all of that. So instead of generating the paths and then looping here, we're doing it like this so that this function can handle the placeholder, I think is the idea. So let's see. What happens here? So this should continue to work, but continue to not work with the, because it's not actually looking for the placeholder art right now. But it shouldn't like fail or something right now in another way. Yeah, so same behavior. And we'll want to test it against like non-placeholder art, but let's do the placeholder check here now, basically, right? So now if yeah, this kind of thing. I'm looking at the placeholder info stuff and basically trying to do the same thing. It's been a while. So here we check if result is null and it's not effects, and card is mod content. We use a placeholder. Basically this comment. I was thinking about the color thing, but we shouldn't need to worry about the color thing because you're not going to have a placeholder for only one side of your art, right? Like if you do, then whatever. I'm not going to worry about that. The textures will still have the same color coding as from when we first loaded them. So I think that should be okay. So we want to make a new placeholder and pass the card. Yeah. The cutout, yes. And the turn kind is that. That was looking for a definition. What's calling this version of the... like here. Yeah, here's a load. This is what we want. Loading the cutout texture. We have to get the path from the resource helper, I think. Right? Unless this is... yeah, I get that's just literally calling the same thing. Resource helper. And the deck definition. Is going to be the card owner, parent deck, right? Kind. And this is just the turn kind. And then we call basically the same method, right? We call this again. With the same path. I guess we say texture result.clear in case it sent back like a null. That can happen, I think. There's no expansion identifier, right? I mean, that's not going to anything. That's null. Cool. Okay, I think that should do it. This is the only place where this load texture 2D async is used, and I think we just missed it with placeholders when we were setting them up before, because it only is used when we flip over a card like that. So let's load up on coffee and see if it worked. Alright, it didn't work, but it tried to do something else. Well, it's trying to find the Baron Jeremy, but let's throw a log in here and see. Looking for placeholder. Let's put in the new path. Oh, right. We have to pass in the placeholder asset bundle identifier. That is what. Does this support? Yeah, I think that. We pass in as the expansion identifier. And resource helper dot placeholder. What else? Nothing else calls this actually, so maybe that's not going to work, but let's just try that. I think that might be what the missing link there is. I have to tell it to look in the placeholders. All right, that didn't work, but it is trying to find the right file, I believe. So if we look at the other place we were looking at, load texture async, sorry. No, right. We got back to the wrong spot. Oh, we don't pass in the mod space. Okay. Try that. It's been I don't know, a couple months since I did the placeholder stuff, so it just turned out I missed a spot. And now getting back into how that works. Hey, all right, that flipped over, but it's the wrong, didn't update the graphic. It didn't actually, so it is, yeah, looking for that, but it didn't get the flipped version. And that's because why? Get texture path. Right. Oh, this is passing. Okay. Okay. I think it's calling the wrong version. Yeah. We want to pass the card itself. Do we? Well, we want, yeah. Actually, I think we don't want to be passing the definition here. We want to be passing the actual card, right? To tell it that it's flipped. Like, where are we loading the cutouts in the first place? Path for cutout texture. Where are we calling that for placeholders? All right, maybe this is not supported. Is flipped not working when we load in as well? Let's check that. Oh, I broke something. It might be that. I thought the flipped cutouts were working for heroes though. Load cutout texture. This is not looking for flipped or not, is it? So it might be a separate issue. And the did that? I guess the original cutout reappeared. Well, that's different. Yeah, that's because of the animation. So let's just try undoing here and seeing if this stays as the wrong image or not. Because undo will use the normal cutout loading. So yeah, so actually we don't load the flip side there either. You know what? I think I saw that happen to a hero too. So I think we actually have a different place to fix too. I think this is not handling it being flipped, but then neither does this method. I need a method that's loading the actual card. That's this one. Okay. And this method is not sending the information, right? Because this has more information of it being flipped or damaged or whatever. So actually we need a placeholder info version that takes flipped. I think. I guess we could just pass in, right? Is flipped. In here, actually. Because, yeah. I think so. Let's try it. Okay, there's the flipped image. So then we just have to also pass it when we do this. Is flipped. Okay, so now when we go back and it flips over, we should get the right image. Feel free to say hi in the chat if you're watching too. Happy to take any questions or banter as I program a game for you. Yeah, Baron Blade, end of turn. Hey, that's what we want to see. Creepy eyes. All right. And that should actually fix the issue I was seeing with heroes not showing up right either. Cool. And we can just also verify that like this works correctly for regular heroes and villains. So let's just make a new game. Bring an Omnitron who flips every turn. Bring some heroes that hurt themselves. so we can get a hero to flip. Bring an environment that might help. Let's just make sure we get... I mean, we can always make a debug setup, but it's fun to test it out the old way. All right, he flipped. That's good. So I don't really have any worry about heroes here, but you never know. Absolute Zero deals himself damage. If you want to test ending the game quickly, I recommend the Dreamer on Challenge. Deal self damage. Who's gonna get to 0 burst? So far, Unity's the lowest. Matthew Hayes kills Raptor Bot. Oh no. It's definitely the slow way to do this, but we'll zip through it. Why aren't I healing from cold damage? No, Absolute Zero is the lowest. We're getting there. Ooh. Make Night Mist use your power for more damage. That's one way to do it. I can deal myself 4 damage to no effect. And we're still not going down. Close. Close. We're all going to be at 1. Just about. I think Night Mist should have it here. Oh. She's saved, but Absolute Zero is not. Absolute Zero. Flip. There we go. Alright, that seems fine. Alright, so what did we do here? Yeah, we fixed that there, so basically fix problem with flip side placeholder art not showing up. Thanks for letting us know about that. That is now fixed for the next build. I did also see this error come up when I started a game with Baron Jeremy. Text I gotta answer here. Okay. Yeah, so if I go new game, and yeah, I should fix this. Fix unload asset. Shoot. Game setup screen. Let's do with mods and trying to clean up memory that doesn't actually work. But if we pull Baron Jeremy and then whatever, there was a mysterious error that didn't seem to affect anything, but I think it has to do with this animation. Animation works, but it's trying to load a deck list based on the placeholder sprite name. And that seems odd. Splash screen view awake. Let's see. Not that, is it? How is that coming through from there? It's coming from path for villain start of game cutout texture. I don't understand how. Oh, because that's where the log thing is coming from. The engine log is coming from splash screen. This might be why I haven't seen it. We're calling get deck definition for. Yeah, so let's go back. Game intro view controller 358. That's the more important thing. Line 358. Loading villain texture for villain character. But I think this villain identifier is probably So this gets a deck definition based on the deck identifier. Oh, but that's not a. No, it is. What is the line that 899 in resource helper? It's probably this. Oh, yeah, this is probably being called with the placeholder logic, right? Here. Yeah. And yeah, that's what's going on. That is what is going on. Let's got a message I'm going to take a look at here. Change action responders action. What is that? I don't know. Let's take a look. I want new instance. I can look and see when that line was added. Maybe. No, we don't have the full history of this repo, so we do the engine though. So I mean, we do have it. It's just we split it off for size reasons on the server. Looks like a method that's never used. Curious. Curious. What does the history say? Something Jean-Marc made in 2014. Looks like Sub-Zero Atmosphere used to use it. I fixed a typo of a thing. So if it's no longer used, you can get rid of it. Interesting. Code. Oh, and now this is like, I'm trying to do blame on a giant file and I'm dying. Kill that. Right. All right, so what we want to do is to avoid calling deck definition on the nonsense deck identifier here, right? We end up going into here, and it's fine. We only check this because of special reasons. Well, because we're looking to see if it's a villain team or there's special cases for Plague Rat, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so I think we just want to add a parameter to this, say don't do that. It's not the end of the world, it's just an error, it doesn't do anything, but I'd rather not have it do that. Where are we calling this from? Yeah, a couple places where there are placeholder loads. So maybe something like check definition equals true. And for placeholders, we don't bother. Or we could like do is placeholder, maybe that's better. And so then we can do this. Sure. And then the places that call it, this can say true. And this can say true. I wonder if other things do that. Get deck definition. Looks like it's, oh yeah, the hero, this is the load. It doesn't happen, does it happen in the path check? That's the thing. I think it's just because that there's the special cases in the villain case there. That's what's going on there. So I think this should tidy it up. And then still work for everything else because they don't pass true. So new game with Baron Jeremy and whatever else. So I forgot to clear the log, but we don't get a new error about that. Okay. Let's fix that other error. It shouldn't be making those calls. So let's commit this change. Avoid loading, trying to load invalid definition. That is, I don't need to open email. Let's fix this. It's been kicking around for a while. So what is the cause of it here? These other errors coming up are because I have my mod without Cauldron. It's trying to load Cricket and it can't for the test, so that's fine. Here we are calling on Load Sprite Atlas. This is where we're getting like the placeholder one, I think, or maybe it's the mod one. We call decrement usage count to like clear the previous one, but then this one isn't tracked because it's being loaded from the mod, and we need to know that. So it's when we call update available cards, and it's like trying to, it's happening because of the, and it's happening on like 2 times, I think, for the 2 villains, or maybe something like that, or for the hero and the villain. I mean, obviously this is null, right? Memory helper 490. So there's a previous atlas. Right, so maybe we just check previous atlas.texture. Name is not null. And then we don't try to do that. Let's see. New game. We still get the error. Still in the same spot. Maybe it's not null, maybe it's empty. Which is still one we don't want to worry about. And actually, we don't need to. This load resource is the one that can go and get a mod one, right? Right. So if and here, yeah, basically, yeah, if it's a mod, we don't want to do this, I think. Right. These are foil ones. And I think the memory managed thing here calls unload sprite atlas. Yeah, we might still run into a couple issues there, but we might want to just say that that's not memory managed as well. All right, well, we didn't get errors now, but what if there's our sweet environment deck back. Let's go into the game and see if we get any issues here. All right. And if we go main menu, there's a thing that pops up, the memory helper usage report clear. Okay, so because we're not worrying about those things because they're for mods, and we're not cleaning them up, but we're also not. We're on standalone, so it's not a huge deal if they take up a little bit of memory. Okay, so fix issues with trying to clean up mod atlases incorrectly. Okay. And there might be other things we can do, but I think that is a little tidier. All right, so yeah, there's this multiplayer issue that might be annoying to test with. Basically, it revolves around having a private mod on Steam and then having people join your game. And it's something you can work around it by just not being subscribed to your own mod like that. It's not, I don't know how notable that is going to be. So I'm not going to work on that this afternoon. I think there's other more interesting stuff to do. We can update this screen. I'll probably just do that after. That's not super exciting. It's basically getting this screen to have, mod support is now released and blah, blah, blah. And so the community group go to the workshop screen. So that's pretty quick for me to do later, so I'm not going to worry about that. Documentation, we actually have the code documentation being generated and working on getting it published. Let's see if it's live yet. No, there's still some propagation happening there, but that will come. And so I was thinking of potentially doing another couple of these request items if I have time today, before like a bonus feature. I think one of the things that has been requested a bunch is improvements around token pools, being able to show like more than one token pool or things like that. And I think what I would like this to be is, so show, let's call this token pool improvements. Show more than one token pool. Support custom icon for token pool. Maybe create new token pools at runtime, potentially. I'm not sure what the engine implications are for that. We can take a look at that and see. So yeah, let's see what the UI is doing around token pools right now. So UI token pool has a few things going on. So this is mostly setback, but also other things in Oblivion and the Harpy as well. We have a component for this that will either find the token pool with the right identifier or the first one. Okay. And we have this accumulator, which you can call update display, and it will. This one is randomized. Oh, this is the one on the inevitable destruction card, I think, because it's like kind of a pile of tokens. These are all subclasses of these to have a different. Yeah, UI token pool indicator, I think, is the Harpies one. And UI token pool label shows the number with the prefix. Interesting. So where are these used? Let's take a look at, just pop into like the splash screen and pop a couple card prefabs. Because I know like regular cards will have a token pool. On the small card. So like small card character. Token pool container. There's a title container. That's a different thing. There's icons for titles, right? You can have up to 9 or 10. So if we just make this visible, these are the title icons. Token pool, there's just one by default. And right, so there's the UI token pool label with a blank pool identifier. And yeah, so it's a subclass of the UI token pool, so it takes on that behavior, but then also shows the label. And there's no prefix. I don't know what what uses the prefix. I don't know what, but it's there. And it's hidden if there's 0, because most characters don't have any. This is going to be used for the unlucky pool or whatever the first token pool is. So potentially we could support multiple token pools just by making more of these. I mean, like, how many are there going to be, right? There's only so much room on this. And I don't know if the token pool sort of goes on its own. It updates on every frame. So it doesn't actually, I don't know that anything actually references it. It just sort of operates, which is kind of strange in Sentinels. Anything that changes happens on an action. But token pool objects here just sort of operate, updating every frame. So they're a little bit of a wild card, aren't they? Ho-ho card. So other cards that have token pools are Scion cards. So it's similar. I guess these might be all part of the root. Small card. Oh yeah, small card character is the parent of that, isn't it? Oh no, that's from small card icons parent. Oh, sorry. Yeah, small card icons parent, I guess, has a token pool on it. I guess so. So there you go. And then in resources, we have a special small card for the Harpy, because the Harpy has... basically, the reason why she has a special one is because she has a special token pool. And so she has a UI token pool accumulator. So it just shows that many number of tokens. As opposed, like, physically shows the tokens. And there's the Arcana and the Avian. Okay, so here's the other kinds. The Destruction card, small card, has this kind of situation with the countdown, and the countdown is... How is that controlled? Yeah. The countdown is actually like 6 different images that go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you were wondering, that's how that works. And so that other token subclass does that. And what it does is it turns them on and off based on how many tokens there are. And then the Devastation one here is similar to Setbacks. It's just a label. But then, we also have Crowd's Favor. Has token pools, which are 2 labels, like that. Bloodsworn Coliseum, I think, has title images on it. Yeah, so it's a little different. Does Scion Reserve have... I guess it just looks different. And then the full version of the Scion Reserve... No, the Devil Destruction card has the Countdown token, which again is a series of images in different spots. I made this so long ago, I don't remember how it even is put together. And then the Devastation container has the tokens, and then that rotation variance makes them look like they're sort of physical pieces scattered on the card. And then the Bloodsworn Coliseum has I think it's just numbers on it, doesn't it, on the full card? Right, Anubis is special. No, it's not the Coliseum, it's the Crowd's Favor, right? Yeah, that just has numbers. Why does Anubis get a special full card? Is he different? He must be different. I can't remember why. Maybe just the amount of text he has is different, and so he's a different image shape or something. Self-destruct sequence has a different look to it. A short. I think Anubis must be just a different sized image. I think those are the things that have tokens. So you can see it's, and then there's even micro cards for these that have the tiny token numbers for phone version. And the Devil Destruction card. Ugh. So it's not as simple a thing as you might think. Because these token pools aren't actually I mean, we can change how they're set up, but right now they just know how to find their token pool and connect to it, as opposed to being configured by the card, which probably, normally we would just make them be configured by the card, but for some reason we decided to do this. Was it me or was it someone else? I guess the blame is long past because it was programmed a long time ago. So what we would need to do is change this around to be able to make new views based on what token pools the card has. So that's a thing. So thinking about that and thinking about potentially being able to add new token pools to cards, like say you want to like be able to put tokens of your own on targets that mean something or something like that. And then have those show up in the game. That seems like it might be nice. You could potentially be able to have your token pool say how it wants to be shown, right? So what do we have here? We have label, display, number of tokens. We have accumulator, display, which is like basically, yeah, image for each token. And then there's indicator display, which I don't know is gonna, like indicator display I don't feel like is gonna be useful, but you can note it here, which is like image for each token, turned on and off, fixed amount, and off. And this is dynamic amount. So that's how kind of how it's set up. And you can see here, this just turns it on and off based on, actually, if it's equal to the, if it's set to the exact current value, it will be on or it'll be off. I don't know that that has a lot of value because, yeah, I'm sure how you would use that in a mod. I think the accumulator and the other one are more likely to be useful or something we could provide access to. Certainly the label, which is probably what we're going to start with. Okay, so let's look at the engine now and see how tokens are set up there, because I'm pretty sure tokens are based on a definition. I mean, they have a model object that gets serialized. These are the different, yeah, there's other ones that I forgot about. Different token pools that are in the game already. So when do we create a token pool? In the card, has generate token pools, so gives every hero an unlucky pool, and then adds all of the ones that are in the definition. Are in, yeah, well, in this definition, given this doesn't need to have all this. So what calls this? In the constructor. So takes the definition token pools, which just have these, and creates them. And that's it. So, interesting. So yeah, if we wanted to have things make token pools at runtime and stuff like that, we would need to create an action. I mean, there are actions around tokens, but there's basically add tokens to pool, flip tokens, which basically just like moves tokens from one pool to another, is what actually happens in the game. Modify tokens is just a base class, I think, for these. Yeah. This moves tokens from between pools, which isn't what that is. I don't know what this is for. Crowd's favor, I think, probably. And remove tokens from pool, like remove tokens from your unlucky pool. So there's nothing, you can see there's nothing around creating or removing token pools, which if you needed that to happen, like if you needed that to happen, it can't just happen in constructors, right? Because if you like say have an Oblivion game where a hero comes in that has this mechanic, the view needs to know better, right? There needs to be an action to say create these token pools or whatever. So yeah, so that is a bit more. Creating token pools at runtime it's not impossible, but it's gonna be more to it, right? We're gonna have to create game actions for that and support methods, and then the UI needs to know how to handle that. So that's not something I'm gonna do this afternoon, but potentially being able to show the multiple token pools for predefined token pools is something that we can do, I think, a little more easily. That's basically only needed in the UI. And maybe the custom icon is something we could do too, because we have in the token pool definition, we actually have a color that is never used, I don't think. And we could also create a yeah, let's find this token pools and see where this shows up in, say, here. This is like the bottom of the 9th strike pool. I don't even know if the color gets used. They have different colors. But we could, add a property called icon or something like that, and then you could provide an icon that we then use. And then, use that potentially for the harpy or something like that. I don't know what these colors do. They probably don't do anything. But they're there. So yeah, so I think being able to show if you define multiple token pools, right now the UI doesn't know to show them, but we can add that. I think that's probably the easiest thing to do right now. Creating new ones at runtime is definitely harder. So I'm just thinking about what we want to do, if we want to be able to only just show the label display maybe right now, and maybe potentially accumulator display as a second step, as an option. Could be a thing to do. And the accumulator display is a way to potentially do something like, if you have, I guess it could, like, sort of like an indicator display, like say you have like 4 different pools and they could have 1 or 0 or something like that, and then you could show a different image for each thing, right? So that's something you could do with multiple token pools with an accumulator display in a pretty straightforward way. So let's go back to the UI here and see how we can support multiple token pools, because basically right now we just have the one, like there's always one on the card, and the card doesn't actually know about it. And so what we could do is actually like take this thing and make it a prefab that then the card knows to like create if needed, and then it'll show up like as needed basically. And then maybe instead of the update, like right now these are kind of, they're not doing very much, basically updating a number, so that's why it's a pretty low-key thing for them to be in the update method there. You know, we do have UI add tokens to pool action and stuff, but all it literally does is play a sound effect. But we could have it go and actually update. Like what we normally would do is go and update the thing. So for whatever reason, we didn't do it that way. Douglas says, put guys' face in the back of them because guys gets everywhere. So yeah, so let me see. I mean, we could leave them working the same way in terms of when they get updated and stuff, but just change how we create them, basically. Have them be created as a prefab or something, as opposed to just being there to begin with. It's I guess the harpy should have an unlucky pool, right? But I don't know if she actually has a display of it on her card. Oh, she does too. Okay, it's there. It's this one. It's turned off, but which I think means it probably won't work. It's interesting. Yeah, and she's got an accumulator for her avian tokens and Arcana tokens that are just a little image. But obviously, like, you could see how this could be generalized. Her tokens display here could be generalized to show an image that, you know, provide your mods icon atlas and so on. Problem now, Dougbo says, the problem now is 2 different characters in token pools, only one shows. I don't think it has to do with number of characters. It's if you have more than one token pool on the same character. So right now, every hero has an unlucky pool, and that's the one that it chose, and it can't support having a different one unless you have it. So the Harpy has her own token pools, and she has a special card gets displayed for her to handle that. And so potentially we could say, we're not going to do a special card for the Harpy. We're going to generalize what the Harpy does and support that for anything. I think that's probably the way to go. And then the Harpy doesn't have any special card anymore. It just shows her the way that anyone could show a token thing. So that might be not... It's a bunch of different things together. So I'm just thinking about what makes sense here. I think whoever submitted this is doing some workarounds that are a little tricky to try to make it work for them. Because I know the Cauldron has some characters that have their own token pool that's not the unlucky pool, but a different one. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just thinking about... Basically what we want to do is card view needs to create the token pools when it's set up, as opposed to this being a thing. In Sentinels, these are usually, there's a card view factory that's in charge of all this stuff, which is not my favorite pattern, the way it's working here, but we should probably follow along with it. And I think this UI card prefabs has the bits and pieces as well. So we could include the token prefab here, token pool prefab. And then when in here, we would create the token pool objects and put them in a grid or something like that. And any card views that have like special token views would not, like in Digital Destruction or the Harpy right now or whatever, would not do this. Okay, so let's add token pool label prefabs. This is going to be for the typical token that you see on the Unlucky Pool and stuff. And there's not even anything in here. Like the UI token pool is completely separate from everything else. So we needed a container for these to go into. I don't know for grids, can you just add child? Of course it's NGUI, so it's all different. UI grid we use. Yeah, so if we use, do we have to call a special thing on grid, or do we just call add child? We might need to, yeah. Let's consider it a grid where the token, we'll call it token label grid. And so if a card view has that, the card view factory can populate it. So probably in here makes sense. I'll just put it towards the bottom of this, I guess. Populate token labels. So if card view.token label grid is not null, we do it. So because there's card.token pools, right? NGUI tools dot add child prefabs dot token pool label prefab. And actually, yeah, this is going to be, yeah, we'll leave the Harpy out of this for now, but we can basically say, like, we can have something on the pool, which is like, what kind of display should it have? I think. All right, the parent needs to go first. Game object, right? Then the prefab. Okay. And this gives back a game object. UI token pool label. I guess we can just call it UI token pool. No, I'm getting away from where I am here. Let's call it UI pool. And so I'm going to add a configure method here. to assign our token pool. Directly. And it will render when it starts. And what I'm going to do is actually check to see if we don't have a token pool yet. We're going to look it up. But otherwise, we're going to be able to specify it. And then start will be called later. And then we get to update display. So this is kind of the way to hook it into how it's working right now. UI pool.configure with pool. And then we need to tell the card view.token label grid to reposition now. All right, so this should create the token pools that we need. Well, we need to populate some stuff in Unity here first. So I need to make a prefab out of this token pool container, right? Which is, yeah, kind of the wrong name. But if I bust this out of a prefab, yeah, let's just bust this out. Can I do that? Menu. I don't know that I can try to breaking it out, and hopefully it won't. I want it to be its own prefab, not connected to that other thing. Some of the prefab stuff going in this game is a little weird because it's using an old prefab nesting system. But it looks like that is a clean prefab. Okay. And so we're going to call this token pool label. And okay, then the card view prefabs is in resources, isn't it? I guess it's here. Okay. Token pool label is that. And I'm not sure if the hide when empty should be on here or somewhere else, but that's fine. And so yeah, let's go to actually card tester scene. Now that we're ready to start looking at this stuff. Card card tester. Beautiful scene. All right, so let's pull up setback character. It's the micro art. It's not loading for whatever reason. Maybe we don't have micro art for setback in the atlas. So we're still going to have the other. Oh, this is the full card, right? The small card is the one that has the. Let's look at the small card. Small card has the previous thing. So we need to change the prefab for these things to take a dynamic one. So small cards. Small card character is used for basically all character cards. So let's pop this in and basically get rid of this token pool container. We might have to hook up these things actually when we create. I'm not sure if that will automatically work. Let's try it. There might be a depth issue. It will break the prefab instance. I'm sure. And then we want to, actually what we want to do is make this into a grid, right? So actually we can remove these components and remove the stuff inside. Remove. Add grid and GUI grid. The size is, sure, 48 by 48. And column limit like 2. Pivot bottom left, so we go up over the top of the card. And let's try that. Then we need to assign it. We'll see how it ends up looking too. Token pool. We'll just call that grid here. I don't know if this is a grid or if these are all just set and anchored to each other. Tokenpool grid there. And let's apply that. And that's actually going to apply to some of those custom ones. So it's going to affect the harpy and whatever, but we'll figure that out. Okay. Let's see if we get a token pool appearing on setbacks card here. It's hide by default, so oh, we got a null reference. Because oh, why it should have the component UI token pool. Let's see what ended up going there. New game object. Oh. Did the card prefab thing not get the right thing? Is this not being called right? Parent prefab. Is this not? This should be being populated, right? Card prefabs there. Why is that being just a blank game object? All right, I'll be right back while I think about that and take a quick break. BRB. What are you doing to me, Ngui? What's your major malfunction here? Literally, like, add child. Now this wants to be a game object. How about that? Wish we could use the regular instantiate. It gets you the component right away, and it's nice. And this ngui stuff is out of date. All right, no null reference. And there is our token pool label. It did pick up a depth offset automatically, so that's probably okay. Yeah, it picked it up off of this. Yeah, okay, so I'm just gonna make this not hide when empty for a second, and we should see it show up. There's the 0. And so I just want to make multiple just for testing here. So we'll just do like what if we have 4 token pools? What happens? Hey, that's actually kind of what I wanted to happen. So, all right, that seems good. Let's go with that. We could have them overlap a little bit, I guess, if we wanted to. If we did that, we would basically make this be like 40 by 40 or something. And then they'd be like a little tucked in. We could actually go 3 columns. It kind of covers the hit points though, right? Yeah, you don't want that. Yeah, the little overlapping I like, so let's do that. And apply that. And okay. So I'm wondering if the hide when empty actually should be like something that comes from the token pool itself and not from the UI there. Because that might be something like by default, yes, because I think that's the case for, well, I guess it isn't for like the Bloodsworn Coliseum and stuff like that, right? So yeah, so that's cool. So that actually covers like anything that has a token pool normally, except I think it's probably going to screw up the Harpy here. So let's see what happens with the Harpy. Her regular token pools are there, okay. Oh yeah, and then it made a whole bunch of extra things. Oh, but she just has them turned off. Yeah, it's not ideal. I mean, I want the Harpies system to work with this as well. Right now, the Harpy probably doesn't show unlucky tokens properly, actually, is what's happening now. If you happen to like use setbacks power with her. And honestly, that's not the end of the world. it's not changing what's happening. I don't think, because it was always turned off. It would never be able to start and get the right token pool. So, and actually, this extra code is making more of them show up. So it actually should be just 3. So this does in fact let us show dynamic, like multiple token pools, right? So that's, if we go and like turn on, that's, oh yeah, the first one should be in the bottom left. That's where what I want to happen. So actually that's not organized how I want. What if we change this to top? I guess is top left what we wanted here? I want it to be like vertical. No, I want it to be going up that way. I think I have to change this. Bottom left. No, don't edit the script. But then you can like change these things, right? And these actually affect the grid as well. Oh, not that, but the yeah, like that. But then that, why is, oh, that's not actually right, is it? I want this to be in the bottom left. Guess I could add them in the reverse. Would adding the reverse order work? I don't think so. I don't know that it'll do what I want, will it? Okay, don't hide when you're empty. Oh, it's like not rendering anyways. So widget alpha, there we go. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense for top left, right? Pivot. But why wouldn't bottom left be... Why would it go... I guess I want horizontal, right? Execute. But bottom left makes it go in the top left. It's not what I want. Sometimes it's just playing around with things. What's cell snap? Nothing that makes any sense. Like what I want is it to add one and add one and add one and add one, right? What am I missing? That's right out. Like if I change this to bottom left and then reorder these so this one's last, will it? for where I want. Come back to me. Like it doesn't. It puts those two up there. Why? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it makes sense if you're going from the top down. Why can you not make the shape that I want and then I can put them in the right order, right? That's all that I really need. That's what's, I think, bothering me. It won't at all put two on the bottom and then one. You know, if it ends up being this way, it's not the end of the world. It's just like, why? Why are you like this? Let's reset. I think it's fine. It's just... I wonder if it's because that one is empty. I don't know. Or something like that. Let's turn the thing back on. This. Yeah. The other one's like... So it's going like 1, 2, 3. But if there was only one, like if we get rid of these in the scene here and execute it again, it ends up there. Like the first one should be at the origin. That's what's really... Do I need to change this pivot maybe and then go to the start? Maybe I do need to do that. What if we do this and this? And pull up the harpy. No, it's still doing the same thing. It looks exactly the same. I guess I never applied that prefab, did I? That would be why. I mean, I don't know that it's going to work, but that would be why it didn't change. Okay. See, now it's way over here. And it's still wrong. So, yeah. It's just going to be where it is, I think. And with 2 token pools, it should be fine. Like they're showing horizontally. Then with 3, the order will show up like that. And I guess do with it as what you will, I guess. Put them how you like. Yeah, I want to just put like this dot pool identifier. Just be easier to do that. And I'm going to just give them a name here. I like to do, when I name them, I do it at the construction part. Just helps to identify stuff in the editor here. Yeah, unlucky pull, avian control, and whatever. So hers are just turned off, which is fine for this. I think I'm like, this is going to just kind of just work for having extra token pools. And we can test it with our mod, I think. So let's do that. Let's create a new instance. And I guess there was a problem from Visual Studio. That's fine. I think that's when I force quit it. Let's go to my mod and add a token pool to one of our things. Maybe to microencoder want to have a token pool. Maybe our dev stream target can have a token pool. Just for I guess I want something that's there at the start of the game, right? So let's give it to microencoder, why not? So I want to get something with it. Token pool, like Magmaria deck list. Isn't there? Or is that's Nexus of the Void, isn't it? Token pool. Example, token pool. See you later, Dugboat. Initial value 5. Color red. I don't know. That color isn't used, I don't think, but we could potentially use it for something. All right. That's all that should be needed to show that in the UI now, because it has a value. And actually, I think if I go into game view, it's set up to, yeah, just load my things. Workshopping done migrant coder. Put him in the game. Start of turn. Yeah, it's loading the debug mod right there. So I don't see that token pool, but let's see if it's, oh yeah, that and the example pool, but it isn't showing. It should have 5, but it's not showing up. I wonder if we're not getting our initial call of displaying it properly. I mean, this should be getting called. I guess I can just call update display here. Oh, I bet it's a depth issue, right? Is it? I bet it is. Yeah, it's like minus a bunch. So this needs to have a relative depth thing on it, I think, is what's going on here. That, and maybe we need to apply it when we do the other thing. So we need this. That we, I think, forgot to do properly. So. paste component, and the depth item is that, and then anything added to it should get the right thing. Relative depth greater than 100. Okay, so something. That's getting 17, but I bet the things I add to it need to have their offset set. It's been a while since I looked at that stuff. Let's just go to this and unit. I don't know if that's going to pull off. Yeah, we need to set relative depth based on grid unit. Yeah, I think that should do it. It might be too late calling this, but we'll see. Oh, we have to assign the depth item, right? Unit.depth item is grid unit.depth item. And maybe I don't need to call this because it still should be 13 or whatever. Oh, it's still not happy. That has a giant number. Where is that? What? That shouldn't be. There's something wrong there. This should be pointing to this, not to that prefab. That would lead to bunkers. Results. All right. Well, we didn't get a pile of errors, but we also still don't see it. So that's at 17, and it's at 1017 here, which is fine. Then these are just at 1,000, so these still need their depth offset. I mean, if I just set this in here, it's probably... No, it doesn't quite do it. I think I need to tell it to update based on... Oh yeah, the lower ones down are getting bad numbers. Let's see. It gives this 17 and it gives the label 18. And maybe I make it inactive to start because I think that might be an issue. This is probably why we're not creating them dynamically, isn't it? Because this stuff is a pain in the butt. These aren't getting nonsense values. This one's fine. That's fine, but the things inside are not fine. Which is why we don't do this, and GUI depth stuff is a pain in the butt. If I do get components. And children. Instead of having it look them up. Is that gonna be okay? Hey, okay. Let's make sure those numbers make sense. 1017, 1017, 1018. Those are the numbers I want. All right. That is good. So if you've got your own unlock your own token pool, it will appear right there. And the unlucky pool will still be the first one, I believe. We could probably make it not be the first one, but right now it is, unless we change the engine. So does anything use the token pool color, I wonder? Oh, I can't find references from there, can I? Pool. Yeah, that doesn't. The labels here, do they have a fixed color? It's using a gradient. Yeah, the color is actually never used. but we could let you change the color of the, and then the sprite is literally just always this token sprite. Change the color of the label and provide your own icon, potentially. The gradient is so subtle, but it is there. All right, well, I think this still preserves other things and then also allows for dynamic numbers of things. So I think this covers like the basic idea. And it still continues to work. I guess we should check skyscraper. Tiny, because she has a special card prefab too. Let's go into the card tester and look at that. Skyscraper tiny character. Looks like she has her unlucky pool, so like normal. Okay, so. Oh, except we got a relative depth greater than 100 error. I wonder if, oh, that's weird. I wonder if that's just because of the card tester being funky here. That's getting a wild depth offset. 12,000. Just like a random number. Where is that coming from? I wonder if we set the like where is that log is coming from here? Is that gonna come in the game? Let's just make a new game in the skyscraper and check it out, because I don't understand why that is happening. I don't think any regular villains have tokens, do they? I don't want the any ad, but I do want skyscraper. We're not getting the error on. I guess villains don't have an unlucky pull, do they? Only heroes. Do your worst, deadline. Alright, so we're not using the tiny skyscraper special prefab here. And our token pool numbers look fine. So if we switch to tiny, which we can't because they don't have a tiny card. Restart until I get a tiny card. There's a tiny card. Yeah, I still get that. Why is that just with her? That's kind of bizarre that gets depth really wacky. I wonder if, let me just go and open up that prefab then. Skyscraper tiny. Like there's nothing here that would indicate that should do anything different. It's not different. Maybe it's different in how it's being instantiated or something like that. We can check out that harpy pretty easily. I could have the harpy and skyscraper in the game. She doesn't get that problem. Let's check about her hero phase though. Nope, she doesn't. It's literally just skyscraper. There's some garbage value coming in with skyscraper somehow, I guess. I don't understand why that would be, but I don't think it really makes a difference, so I'm not too concerned about it. So let's commit this stuff, which is basically having tokens come in dynamically, and this is supporting that. And then yeah, I guess we can look at what changed in the skyscraper prefab, but something with that crazy number in here somewhere. Don't think so. I guess we need to apply this to other card prefabs too, don't we? So, small card HP parent and small card icons parent. Let's do that. So let's go just to a scene. I guess card tester. And small card HP parent. I guess, yeah, because we have objectives, right? Have token pools as well. We pop one of those in. I guess it's already right there, isn't it? Yeah, it's just like the same. It's not doing anything differently than normal. So small card HP parent, and basically do the same changes. This is a grid. Let's just copy the grid settings from the other one. We're going to get rid of, I wonder if we should make the depths a little bit higher. That breaks the prefab instance. Okay. This have that. Doesn't have that. And we add our token pool label. Oh, right, on this. All right, token pool grid, not the label. Oh, we need to add the grid. I'm getting confused. Copy this. I guess we're at, yeah, 18. That's fine. Paste component as new and assign it. And apply to that and all the other prefabs below it. And then we have the other set of types of cards are without HP. So we'll grab the parent of that. And that has a token pool spot as well. Call it token pool grid. Get rid of the stuff inside. Remove that. Remove that. And add. Just paste. And hook it up. And that one should be done too. All right, so that should cover objectives and stuff. And they should still be able to show their token pools and whatever. So we could pull up a couple of those. So let's pull up, say, what's one that has the hair dryer? To look up the deck list. Oh, I guess there's shields too, right? So the primary objective. Prime objective, and then it adds an extra V for me. Let's just see that that's got its token pool. There it is. Let's disable that so I can make it visible. That looks good. It's still got a wacky depth offset going on too. I mean, we can fix that by just setting it. Like, it's going to cause depth issues if we let that happen, right? I wonder if it's because we're only getting the ones in the children and not... I don't know if this... Does this function take a parameter to say include self? I'll include an active, yes. I wonder if that was it, actually. No. Try that. No, it's still freaking out. Can we, like, that depth offset is starting out at 17 or whatever. Can we just like set that? It's kind of weird to do that, but honestly, I'm not exactly sure what it's doing here. It still ends up making a crazy number. Where's that crazy number coming from? I guess we can log it, but it seems... This ends up being a lot, because a lot of things call this, I think. Yeah, it seems like this is linking to something wrong. Right? Like, where is it getting this crazy number from? The widget? Which maybe is pointing back to the prefab still somehow at this point? Or... because it has no depth just yet. Okay, I think that might be what is going on. Because the widget has no depth because it's in a prefab and it's getting a random number. So instead of UIPool.widget, well, I guess I can't access that, but I can go unit.widget.depth. I guess is just do that, because I don't think those other methods are being called yet. All right, no error, and the numbers are reasonable. Cool. All right. And we should make sure that it works right in game because that is a different creature. Definitely turn off that log. Will be a big log spam. So the harpy, her token pool, grid, everything should be at 1,000 and whatever basically, and it looks like they are. Okay, that was the fix that was needed actually. Okay. And let's go back to the card tester and just check any other cards that are covered. So the shield looks good. That's the card with no HP. We want, there's environment cards that, right? Nexus of the Void deck list. Magma's Rage has a token pool. And There it is. Okay, so those are the things that I was concerned about. I guess I wonder if Skyscraper, tiny character now, doesn't have that. Yeah, she doesn't get the weird error anymore, so. Cool. All right, this log cannot stay on. All right, so now actually we support the token pools on everything, because I forgot about the other kinds of cards, and I don't take a quick look at the card view prefabs. That covers character cards, cards with HP, cards with just icons. Flipped cards don't have token pools. I guess we could cover it if it's a thing. It's not a thing, so I'm not going to put that there unless someone asks me to, but it's not a thing. Incapacitated heroes don't have token pools generally, so. And yeah, that's it for small cards. That's where we show tokens, is on small cards, so. I don't think we do on micro cards show tokens, right? I'm pretty sure we don't. No. And we don't on full cards, so, well, except for the ones where they have a special token pool. Okay, so let's make sure our project is saved, and let's look at our changes. So there's our new prefab. We hooked up that to there. We basically made all of these cards support that. Oh yeah, interesting. Crowd's favor. Yeah. I should look at those to make sure that those load right. Just in case. Crowd's favor looks okay. It has null for the other thing. And inevitable destruction. It's the other main one. Inevitable destruction card? No, you don't want to open for me? There it is. Yep, that seems good. Which also probably has a null. Yeah. I think it just didn't have that to begin with, and so it didn't really change anything. And those changes we looked at already, and this has the fix for that. Cool. All right, so let's commit this and call it support showing multiple token pool labels on small cards. Look at that. We've done it. All right, have a little more time so maybe we can get to potentially the icon or the color display. I think just having that basic display is definitely helpful, but I like the idea of showing an icon. So what would we do there? Basically, if you provide an icon, then it would look it up and show it. Because we have like an atlas that we use. I believe small card true color has the Harpies icons and the token icon and the HP call it, I guess. But then you could provide, if you provide your own icons, we could then look in your like mods icon atlas and use that. That seems pretty reasonable. I'm going to be right back, so we'll take a look at that in a minute. All right, let's see if we can add a little visual flair to this. So, for that we need to pop into the engine so we can define that stuff. This, what did I change here? Oh, I just fixed the, clean up reference. So, in the engine, this is my mod, so let's just switch this one out. Because we'll want to probably make the mod add those things in as the next thing. Excuse me. So, blah, blah, blah. Don't need those. Right, so Tokenpool Definition is this. So we don't actually ever use the Tokenpool color in the UI. So I don't feel married to that field. I guess it is serialized in the model, isn't it? Oh, I guess it, yeah, actually it is. That's kind of awkward. I should just get that from the definition. But it doesn't. Okay. So I want to be able to have an icon. And maybe label top color and label bottom color, and then you can specify your own label color gradient. Okay. And where do we do this? This get string, yeah, it doesn't care about things being null. Icon, label bottom color and label top color. I guess maybe it's because this doesn't hang on to its, it isn't past a definition when it's created. I mean, it can be, but it isn't always, yeah, because of this one's dynamically generated. Yeah, maybe we add the unlucky pull after. Because most of the time you don't care about it, right? It's like only because. Yeah, this is like handling setback already having the unlucky pull, I think. Or does setback actually have an, why, it's kind of funny why we don't just like, yeah, the way this is being made is kind of funny. Why not just add the unlucky pull after? Like setback probably doesn't even have his unlucky pull listed anymore, right? Because it's always created. This seems weird. It's like supporting having multiple unlucky pools. That's not a thing though, right? Like, just do this if you need to make an array, I guess. Bop. Like, this is, why is this even an array? Because it's saved as an array. This is private. I'm changing this. Shouldn't care what's coming out of this as long as it's an enumerable. How about this? Definitions dot select. Look at that. Select is your friend. All that code is going to be like a couple lines that is just as clear. Thanks to guys and Celestial Tribunal. There. And I'm just going to add a new constructor for this that takes a definition. Seems better. We'll just populate these from the definition. We'll keep this for the other way that you can create it manually. Icon. Right, I guess we could just hang on to the definition. It's kind of weird that this is being stored in the model in this way, that other things with definitions are like these. Name and color should not be like we normally hydrate the definition and everything. It's very odd that it's happening this way. But I guess we have to follow it. Icon. Label bottom color and label top color. They're mostly null for most of them, so. All right, so that pulls in that new information. And I think that's good. I guess we can run the test to make sure we didn't break token pools. And while that's running, we can go and add our update our token pool over here. So the regular color value isn't actually used. So let's add icon. It's going to be what's the weird icon we have? Don't we have an icon with Bear and Jeremy? It's like whatever, right? Whatever, somewhere. Let me just check our. Yeah. I don't know if we should put the namespace in. Probably. In theory, we could let you use the other icons in there, in that thing. So let's say workshopping.whatever, which we use. Yeah, I guess we do that there. But I think if you have a card icon, it needs to have the thing, right? I don't know. Maybe we don't need it. Maybe we do. Label bottom color. And label top color. We'll have a nice red to blue unreadable color. And yeah, let me just pull up the documentation for the icons, and I think use your namespace in the card icons. Tokenpool definitions. The color is not used. Mod specific icons, fully qualified string. Yeah. In case we support, like maybe we're going to provide other icons that are built in, you can do that, or maybe you can put in a different, sprite that's in this atlas and access that one or whatever. If you want to have your own Arcana or Avian token image, you could do that. And that would also be supported by when we extend this to support the Harpies. Okay, and looks like our unit tests are happy about those changes. So that's good. Build that. Let's update the engine in the UI. And see if we can access those properties. Okay, so in game view, I think we have our situation set up here. We can look at migrant coders thing there. Yeah. So I want to set that label color. Let's load that project. And I'm just going to say if that if pool.label, if it has and label top color is not null. I mean, this doesn't need to happen on every frame, does it? Maybe we make this virtual. And call base and do this here. If this is the case, then this dot label dot gradient bottom hex color dot hex to RGB, like that, and then the same thing for the top. And if you want it to be a solid color, just put the same color for both. So we should see our lovely label color. Oh yeah, it's horrible. Cool. And we also want to be able to show a different icon. So I think we need to add our sprite here. And if pool.icon, basically like that, and then we'll add the mod loading check in a second here. But we should be able to see that it's going to fail to load the sprite. So I need to edit that prefab because it doesn't have a reference to its own sprite at the moment. Can I? Oh yeah, I can just do that here. Sprite. Bump. More blasting. I don't know if you can, probably can't hear that in the microphone, but do you hear that siren and then a crunch? So yeah, so no background happening, but so I could actually, if I go, we can go back and give it the other sprite name, right? HP Violator. And just as a, oh, I thought, whatever, HP Violator. I think it's with an O. Yeah. If you wanted your token to look like that, maybe you have some sort of extra hit point, sub hit points idea going on with your character. Who knows? You can do it now. Or make it look like that. Cool. So maybe I'm just gonna note which sprites you could actually use. Token, HP Violator, just for the documentation. Arcana token and Avian token, and you could also use the other things, but I don't recommend it. They're not gonna look very good putting a font or a skyscraper with your token. All right, so those are the icons that are built in, and so now let's go back and just rebuild this and load our icon sprite. So where do we do that in? Oh, there's mod. Is it in here? Mod manager. Hey, use a sprite atlas from the mod. Yeah, it's basically this. Okay. So basically, if it has a dot, guess we can do this. And this dot sprite. And sprite name. So if it's mod content, it goes in here. If it's not, it doesn't. Cool. All right, so this should load our whatever icon from our icon atlas. Oh wow, look at that. It's the ugliest token pool you've ever seen. But it's an example. Don't knock it. All right. So that's cool. A little bit of extra visual flair there. And yeah, so if we go back to our... Oh, and don't close the tab. It's going too slow. It's going to close the tab. No, it didn't. Okay. Custom icon for Tokenpool. Not creating new ones at runtime. That's I think, a bit more. So maybe I'll split this card up maybe. So let's commit our changes here though. So in the engine, we are adding, I just made this method a little better. We're adding some new properties to these. Yeah, that color field is just not going to be used, but I can't see what it would be used for. Like, you could tint the sprite, but then you could just, like, it doesn't look good with a tint, I think. So I just maybe say it's unused. And then we add like a different constructor and this stuff. So new serialized properties as well. We should get rid of these. We have obfuscation. We were looking at obfuscation and then we didn't do it. And it's just kind of a mess. It's fine. We don't actually run an obfuscator, which would have made making mods a lot harder. So this is add support for more visual information with token pools. Okay. Or customization, how about that? All right, and then on the UI, I need to update the DLL here because we're referencing things. And this annoying thing that Unity does. And here is basically, oh, I need to save the prefab. Support label, color, and custom icons for token pools. Cool. All right, so that, and I'm just gonna copy this card and delete, delete, delete. That one is done. And then this can be more token pool improvements. And it's not about that. Okay, so right now the accumulator and the indicators are just on the fixed cards that we support them on, but potentially in the future, we could have new runtime tokens. This would be like requires new actions, basically. So there's a lot more to it than the other stuff. And still actually need some documentation. So I'm going to put this back and add to documentation. Not quite done. I'll do that after, I think. Let's see if there's anything else we can tuck into with the last hour today, maybe. There's this one, but I think that's a bit bigger. This request for multiple activatable abilities with the same key on one card. Might be not too complicated. There's also potentially be able to control flavor text a little better. Let's look at this one. I think this one had to do with engine stuff. So let's take a quick look. I don't remember the details exactly. So activatable ability in the controller is a choosable text. It has a key. Where do they come from? Are they part of the model? I guess they're like powers. So they're the controller. But they have to come from something. So let's look at like the Argent Adept, right? Is the main user of these, also the Naturalist. So I think the concern was someone wanted like, say, multiple accompanies on one card. And so what looks up these in the definition? Here, and we have activated ability definitions. So we create them. We just add them. And so you can have more than one with different names. And then, right, it's when you want to use one. See if pop up Discord here and see if I can find where people were talking about it. Guess I was off Discord. Activatable. Here's more information. Just pop this into the Trello card. I guess I missed that from JP. All you would need is for activate ability to be pass an int and pass a number when calling it. Right, so if we look at, say, an instrument card, right? There's actually a subclass for that. Select and activate ability. You get them, which just returns back all of them. I guess activated abilities have a key and... Do they have a key and a name? Oh yeah, the key is the name. But the definition doesn't have... Oh, I see. Where there's no key or the name is key. Alright, if you pass null, you can activate any. That's what it means. Okay. That's what that means. Okay. So it's going to return them all back that match the key or not. And you get a decision with all of the possible ones, and then you get back the one you selected, and it calls it. And then it uses it. So what's the problem? That you can't call that directly? I guess? Like if you call select and... Like, does anything call this directly? I guess filter strike force and stuff. Select and activate ability looks like it supports things having the same name. I don't see that it doesn't. Based on looking at the code, I haven't run the code. It doesn't like do anything distinct on them. Right? So I'm not sure I understand the problem. Maybe I'll have to ask them what's the issue. Revealed. Fix typos. Yeah, I guess I don't understand the problem based on what I'm looking at here. Because this literally is past an activatable ability that's created out of the multiple ones, right? I guess there's one that takes a string. Are they literally asking for an improvement to the test framework? Is that it? Because you can just do that yourself. You don't need me. This seems to already be supported in the game. There's no card controller activatability string method. Oh, there is. Oh, there is. Okay. It's like, sorry, I was just confused. So, oh, this is the card. This is what gets called when you actually do the ability then? And activate perform just probably finds the first one, or I guess these don't even care what they are. It is weird that this takes a key and not like, I imagine everywhere it's called you could just be passing in the actual thing. Yeah, like actually pass in the definition. Or even the ability. So that's kind of weird. Like, Yeah, that's the method that it's calling. But like that could just literally take I don't think taking an index is better. I think it should take the definition. And then you can look at the definition and decide what you want to do, right? Because an index might not be stable there. I feel like depending on who, if someone calls you in a different way, you may activate any ability. Your index thing is not gonna maybe work. I guess it potentially could. But I'm somewhat concerned about that. I think the definition could have an index on it. I think that might make more sense. And that's fixed and not dynamic based on whatever comes in. So let's see. Index. And where do we create these? I guess it's like you want it to be we could always just say if you want an index, you have to include it or something. I'm just worried about that other method can be like activate if you pass null for the key, then you get all of them, right? And so that index might not act the way you expect. So I think what you want is like the 0th perform and then the first and the second and the third perform, as opposed to this being 0 and this being 1. They should both be 0. So I think actually you just have to specify the index, right? And it can be just null. I think. So yeah, actually better than can specify to distinguish between two abilities with the same name. And maybe that should be a better, like a ///. Sure. Get in the habit of that, right? So then here, dot index, get integer, like that. Is there like another place where we're, oh, here, that can be some better. Okay, so we're assigning that on the definition, and I think then the main change is that card controller, I mean, I'm not going to change it, but I'm going to add a new activate ability and pass by definition. I guess that's card definition dot. Okay, and then we're going to use that, and then we're going to deprecate this. I guess we can do the EX thing again. And we can actually say obsolete. Use instead. And then we'll get errors because we have an obsolete method. Yeah, and then this can grab this here. Filter agent. And definition.name. And this is definition.name. And what? It doesn't have a, oh, capital N. Definition.name. And pass in the definition, right? It was just passing in the name before, so I'd pass in more. Ability. Right, and this, I think, is because this doesn't actually keep a definition. Here, this is guys copying it. Course, guys. I mean, in every case, do we have a way to get the to get the definition, and we're just not using it? So like change this constructor is only used by us. So card definition why are we have a using for our own namespace? Right, we don't need to pass that. This Syscard definition dot activatable ability definition. All right, break some more things. Yeah, like we're literally just passing in that instead here. And the index is, it has its own index of all abilities, not just the ones that match. So index might not be a good like word, but it's not going to match this number. Oh, right, and guys is, of course, doing guys things. So we need to be able to override the description. Of course we do. Ugh. Why is this annoying? Because, guys, it's not as simple as you think. Not as simple as you think. Because of, oh yeah, I'm that guy. So I guess we have to hold on to the definition first thing. And did anything actually access these? I guess they do. Like we can pass like an override description or something. And we want to be able to do that. All right, back to, oh yeah. He's also passing a new description. That's passing the definition. And ability.definition. Right, guys' new ability. All right. And where does that get us? So yeah, now that's calling activate ability based on this definition, which can have a number, so you can use it if you want when that gets called. So when this gets called, you can look at this coming in and decide to do something different. So don't necessarily need to actually implement anything with that, but that should be available to you now. I'm just going to run all the tests and make sure I didn't break guys. Of course, errors in the tests. Interesting. So what if instead of this is just like the test function calling, and that's gonna break a lot because everyone has this. We could leave the old constructor around. It's not necessarily a bad idea. Basically, grab this old one. And yeah, I guess this. This one would do this, but most of this stuff. Oh, just getting a phone call. I think a delivery probably. Hello? Yep, delivery coming soon. Yeah, so let's maybe restore the old constructor here. And then we'll call it. So this is description text. And this is this. And then this one can basically call that constructor first with TTC, card controller, ability, def dot name. I wonder if I can just do, can I do all the logic in here? No. Oh, it is .text, right? So maybe I can. Override description. And then method. And then index. Copied. Activating. Card source. Right? Just like. Yeah, that's basically, and then also say this dot definition. Yeah, I think index is a bad word for that because we use the term index here and it's not exactly the same. So think of a different. So now actually we shouldn't get an error about the constructor, because the old constructor should still work. But we do have this obsolete thing, which we will want to fix, I think. Maybe. So I think rather than index, I just want to fix that variant, or not variant. Number. When activated. Just to it's not the exact same as index. Yeah, so I'm wondering about that. Like, other cards out there are going to have this overridden already, so we don't want to get rid of it. I don't know if we could change it to call this one or something like that, but I don't. I'm just trying to think of what makes sense. I think we could get. We need to make this obsolete, right? Because this isn't going to be called anymore. No longer called, or to support multiple abilities with the same name. And override that instead. So I think that might be necessary. Like, you can't. We need to stop people from using this because they need to use this instead for the. Because the game's not going to be like trying to call both or something, right? So we're going to say that is an error if you use it. I think. So basically our base test needs to also change. And so basically find the ability def. Is that the dep or the? Yeah, that's actually. This is it's interesting. This is creating a new one, but it doesn't need to do that. Maybe it does for reasons when the test. Let's select. Just like that. I mean, and then this should be using the new constructor too, but so maybe we mark that old constructor as obsolete. I don't know, but we don't want that definition to be null, right? Because if it get used by guys or whatever, it won't work, right? It'll pass null into this. So I don't think we don't want that old constructor to be around. I think we have to get rid of it. Well, we don't have to because yeah, I don't think we have to, but we can change it in here so we're not using it anymore. I just don't want people to be using it. And if I call it obsolete, then even referencing it from within this is going to, right? Going to be unhappy about this literally calling it. Yeah. It's like, why are you calling an obsolete thing in your own class? All right, let's run the tests and then see. Yeah, so the thing is, like, we can't really make activatability and activatability EX be both around, because then you're basically saying people have to implement both all the time. And that doesn't seem good. So if we're going to make this change, I think now's a good time to make it. It gives it a little more power. So it is going to be a... It's not going to be a totally breaking change, right? Because you won't get, like, exceptions, but you will, like, have things not happen because it's going to be calling this method instead, which you won't have implemented yet until you change your code. So keep that in mind. We'll try to get this out shortly, I think, then, so that you have time to make adjustments. If we can go and look at, like, the Cauldron, for example. Yeah, so there's a few, not too many actually, though. All aboard. And this is probably a flaky test. Yeah. All right. I'm just thinking more about this constructor. It seems like there's no value to keeping that old constructor because it's going to end up causing trouble with that definition being null. So I'm actually just going to go back on what I said and do this and get rid of the old constructor. And get rid of this. because it's not used anywhere anymore in the engine. It was only in the test file. So I guess we can take a quick search in this. No one's using, this is using the constructor. Get activatable abilities. That's weird. That it's yield returning. That doesn't make a sense. This is the code that I'm fixing now. That seems problematic. I'm not sure what's happening there. You can't yield return. Can you? Get off. What? What does this method do? It's not a yield return, it's just return. So yeah, I guess if you're doing something like guys, then you're gonna have a similar, so you might have some more changes there. So I'll try to be clear about what's happening there with the Cauldron folks and anyone else who might have similar adjustments. Right, and then this is going to be unhappy about this, but that's because we can actually just pass this. No, why is my copying and pasting not working? Is this used guys in any of the tests? I don't think so. Let's just run all the tests again. And my delivery will probably be here soon. They said 15 minutes. It's been 15 minutes. Run. We'll probably wrap this up anyways, so. So yeah, so we'll get this committed and finished up and posted into the API changes doc. So I think that's probably going to be it for today. I'm going to get a delivery here in a second anyways. So yeah, stay tuned for public release of Workshop very soon. Hopefully next week. We'll see you next time. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.